Upload Cantina Cast Patreon content.
Hello, Patreon folks. Hello, Jonesy and Lauren. How are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, doing good.
Why is that funny? Why are you laughing already? Did I do something wrong?
I'm emotionally preparing myself for the number of honorable mentions that are coming, and
Well,
I'm trying to view it with joy.
As I was rolling credits, I added one more. So I think officially now I'm up to 10. So, yeah. Much to Jonesy's dismay. I will keep them short, relatively under 5 minutes each. So thanks for being here, guys. Tonight, Patreon members, we're going to go through our top 3 moments of Season 3 of The Mandalorian, a decision that was more challenging than I thought it was going to be for about 2 minutes. And then it got real easy, real fast, because I just went to the last 2 episodes and said, oh, here they all are. They're right here, all my top 3 moments. So... But hey, joining us tonight, we've got 2 Patreon members. This person is not a stranger. Hopefully he's not to you guys. This is Dante Utini from Discord. Welcome back to the show, sir. Did you finalize your top 3 moments? Because I know you were still working on them until we came on.
I did. I knocked one down. One's not mentioned now, but yeah, I got down to 3. Glad to be here. I always appreciate it.
Yes, always a pleasure to have you with us here live. And no relation, Alex Padilla is with us tonight as well. Actually, Alex is my brother. Alex, thanks for your patronage. I don't know why you're doing that. I do appreciate it, though. And thanks for being here to talk about your top 3 moments of The Mandalorian. How's it going?
It's going all right. Just ate Whataburger, so it's going great.
Good. That's important. Good
Ready
to note.
do the show.
Yeah. I hate to stereotype or, call it all in the family, but there you go. So,
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be talking about, again, our top 3 moments. And so before we get started, I'll start with Alex, since he is kind of the newest person here on this show. And as you were going through all of this, how difficult was it for you to come up with your top 3 moments? I think, and the reason I'm asking this, I think when we did the show for season 1 and season 2, I think especially in season 2, that was a little bit more difficult, at least for me personally. And I think in speaking with the folks that were there on that show, it was a little bit more challenging because we had a lot of really big major moments that kind of happened throughout, a lot of exciting moments. Do you feel like this was a difficult decision for you to nail down the top 3, or was it something that came to you pretty easily?
No, it took a while because I feel like the season was just kind of all over the place in terms of maybe the way they wove the stories in and out of each other throughout the episodes. So you just kind of had to wait for like a really big episode to happen to have a big episode or a big moment. So I just took a little while. I had more, like I was saying earlier, I had more honorable mentions than I did actual top 3 moments.
Top 3 moments. Okay. Well, we're going to start with you. So you're going to kick us off on your top 3 moment. Tell us what it is and why you selected it.
So is this like best to worst or worst to best?
So I guess your top 3, start with your number 3. Don't give us your best. Don't blow that now.
All right.
Best for last.
Well, okay. So one thing I really liked was the spider tank from the Mines of Mandalore episode.
Oh, nice.
With what they had, the unidentified cyborg is what it's called. I was trying to find a name for it, but that's what it's called. Does that make any sense? Unidentified cyborg.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I like that one. It reminded me of like, I just liked all the design of the character. Just reminded me of like Kane from Mobile Cop 2. You remember Kane from Mobile Cop 2?
Yes.
Had that kind of face and was just all like cybernetic and weird looking, which is weird because that's like, I saw that movie like twice in the theater when I was like 9. I don't know
and
why.
And left an impression.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And yeah, I just like the detachable head that it had at the end as well. The little roach body. I thought that was pretty interesting. This is a great design overall. It had 3 different phases. You know, it had the spider phase, and it had the sort of walking cyborg phase, and then it had the roach phase.
Yeah.
That was just great design. It was exciting to see.
Well, it was different.
It was really creepy too, because he was siphoning, Din Djarin's blood in order to survive. So it was interesting just seeing what it would take to survive with that kind of creature too.
Yeah, it was taking his manhood. that character design was like very like so not Star Wars, and yet it felt appropriate, oddly, for some reason. I mean, we don't know we don't know a whole lot about what was going on Mandalore, especially down underground, but it was a creepy design. It was it was unprecedented in terms of other characters, to Alex's point. So I know we talked about it a lot, and I don't know if we'll ever get any kind of backstory on that. I mean, the closest we ever had was like Grievous in terms of something similar. But even Grievous, there was still something not as creepy about him. As creepy as Grievous is, this thing kind of really took the cake on it. So very interesting moment there for you. Okay, Dante, we'll go to you next. Give us your number 3 moment.
Side note, I called him Admiral Leech because he was like General Grievous, and he kind of sucked blood. So
and then
I couldn't find a name either. So I just called him
docked him a
Leech.
rank. You docked him a rank to Admiral only. Okay, very cool.
My number 3 was the Axe Woves versus Bo-Katan fight. I like kind of the setup of it, like, okay, who's going to take charge? Like, Bo-Katan wants to take them a certain way. Axe Wolves fighting back against it. But it was great to see different fighting styles and kind of how they fight with different, like, Mando armor, like Mando equipment. And so that, and I was just throwing the football before it. That was great to see, too. But, like, my favorite part of that fight was when Bo-Katan gets knocked off the freighter or whatever it was, and she's fallen back, and she shoots the grappling hook, pulls him down, uses that to fix her fall, adjusts, and then pulls him down. And so she comes down, like, knocks him up. So just that whole process of, like, okay, falling, adjust myself with the grappling hook, and then pull him down, gain advantage. I thought it was a great idea for a sequence. So that was my number 3.
I love the choreography. I love the preamble to that fight, too, because it's like, okay, how is she actually going to go about challenging him? Is it going to be a conversation? She's like, no, this is how we do it with Mandalorians. We just challenge.
Yeah.
And strength versus strength, and the best person is going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see in his eyes a bit like he didn't want to do this, but like he felt like, of course, he's going to say yes. And he wants to win, of course. It's not like.
I read him as saying that he was like begging for this type of moment to actually have one-on-one with her, of saying who is like finally assert his superiority over her, being the princess and having to follow her and everything else for so long. I kind of looked at the other way around.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's a better way to put it. But now I'm thinking about, maybe he was offended by her, like, saying that more than what I was saying before. But he was offended, like, how dare you call me out right now? And then they went at it.
Typical male.
It was great.
Yeah, well, and it was in front of, at that point, he was the big man in charge. He felt like that was his fleet. Those were his people. He had earned them. And then suddenly here she comes kind of waltzing in. The interesting, I think, thing for me was just when you see Mandalorians fight, it's totally different. And I love the fact that the choreography went that deep to kind of give us very different takes and how just intricate how personal they use all of their equipment in fighting with each other, because you're trying to outguess somebody who fights just like you, who was trained just like you, who was brought up just like you, where Mandalorians fighting non-Mandalorians, totally different picture. Usually they have the upper hand. And this was more of a chess match, a cat and mouse kind of fight going on. So from that perspective, I thought that was a really good job. And I think we called this out too in that show. I think we mentioned that this fight was kind of a standout moment for that episode. I forget which episode this was now. But yeah.
It was the Buddy Cop episode.
Okay. I think that was the title. Chapter 23, the Buddy Cop episode.
Guns for Hire or something?
Guns for Hire? Yeah. AKA, I think it was, in quotes, Buddy Cop episode. Okay, Lauren, we're going to go to you for your number 3.
My number 3 is also related to Axe Woves, but it is when Axe Woves saved the Mandalorians by crashing the ship into the whole base. Especially because I feel like for me, a big part of the significance of that moment was that everybody was thinking that he was the spy. And I loved it that he proved us all wrong. And it turned out that he was truly loyal to his people in the end. And now looking back, I'm like, I figured if there was a spy back then, I was like, it probably is him. But now that I look back, I'm like, I don't know how I thought that, because to me now he does seem like he would be truly loyal. So I just liked it that he proved us wrong.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that. I think I convinced you that he was a spy. Yep.
There were no other good options for the spy.
Well, true. There wasn't. I know. Yeah, I mean, there were other options, but like you said, there was. I don't know. You could still say that's still out there, and I guess they could still come back season 4 and surprise us and say, "Oh, look, there was a spy, and we introduced it." But it feels like too much time is going to pass now, and like I don't even know that I would care at this point. Maybe unless it's something significant that happens, but I mean, the other way to look at it is, was he really helping them out by crashing that ship? Was that the only option that he had? I don't know. If I'm a traitor and I'm a spy, that seems like a really good way to just conveniently take out everybody.
No, I'm Team Max now. I'm not buying it anymore.
Okay, I won't try to convince you again. Jonesy, give us your number 3.
My number 3 is Bad Baby No Squeezy, because it was too adorable.
How is that a top 3 and not an honorable mention? Come on.
Because I laughed every single time it came on, and I would rewind it and do it again. And then and I forgot that it came back and did it when he gets IG-12.
Yeah.
And when the Angelin goes by, she goes, Bad Baby No Squeezy. And I just, how can you, I mean, everybody's laughing right now. It's like one of the greatest moments of the series. Now,
you're just playing up to Lauren's heart right now more than anything. So
I'd like making Lauren happy because she makes me so happy with everything she does on Jedi Novel Archive. But still, it's just funny and it's perfect, and it was just wonderful. And I get it; it's not a huge monumental moment in the series or in the season or anything like that. But when you just talk about top moments that people all gravitate to, it's one of the moments in the entire season that people will come back and always remember, like Bad Baby No Squeezy, and how much they thought it was cute or thought it was funny, or just it left a lasting impact on us in some way for the season.
It's an iconic line now.
It is.
I mean, there's no getting around that.
All right.
It's right up there with Do or Do Not. There is no try.
Exactly. Yeah, right up there. I mean, they're just inseparable in my opinion. I really am completely intrigued to see what your top 2 are. To see that's your number 3.
This one was my number 2 and 1 for a little while. I'm not gonna lie with you.
Stop it. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. I'll tell you. My number 3 is it starts with Lady Kryze. Your reinforcements have arrived, and it's that whole sequence of them diving with Bo-Katan. They're all flying. The Mandalorians are flying. You've got the troopers flying up, and she ignites the Darksaber. She looks over at the armor. They all go down. They kind of clash. It's similar. It reminds me a lot of the Return of the Jedi scene where the Falcon goes headfirst into this swarm of TIE fighters. It's the same kind of feeling of them going headfirst into all the troopers there. But just that whole action sequence with everybody, especially Bo-Katan, of course, and all the other Mandalorians. But for the armorer, such a huge standout moment to be able to see her. I think we kind of said that she was similar to Thor up there, just hammering away literally at people left and right, and finally getting to see her in action. Not only just in action, we've seen her in action before, but doing so with a jetpack on mid-flight. All of that was just super adrenaline. I really enjoyed it. It set up the rest of that sequence and the rest of that whole battle all the way up until where Gideon dies when Axe-Woves tries to kill everybody. All the way up until that point.
Just Bo-Katan. Really all he was trying to kill.
See, Lauren's not even listening. She didn't catch that. It was a joke. But yeah, that part there was wonderful. I just really loved everything about it. So that's my number 3 moment. Okay, Dante, let's go to you and give us your number 2 moment.
My number 2 moment is Din saying "This is the way" about Bo-Katan's father.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Sorry, I have that in my honorable mentions, but spoiler alert.
So to me, like I'm religious, but I understand a lot of times you can see religion evolves, and different things people need to do to follow their religion evolves. But when you kind of break it down to its origin, to me this is the way about Bo-Katan's father. So that the essence of "This is the way" is protecting Mandalore and protecting those that defend Mandalore, and the emotion that Din gives when he says "This is the way" for that is different than the way they say "This is the way" for other stuff.
Correct.
Like the leader sits by the fire. This is the way. Just kind of a rote kind of thing you say. But when he says it about the father, there's the emotion behind it. Like, okay, this is the essence of what I believe is we protect each other and we protect our planet.
And then he stopped and took a moment to pause and then say it. I think just added so much to it. I agree with you. This is a great scene.
Well, and this is one of the many moments throughout this series where he's professing his love for Bo-Katan. So of course he would say that, right?
He said it like a sister.
Oh, as a sister?
Yeah, he's with O'Mara.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
I forgot.
It's in there.
No, Dante's with me on this one. See, I forgot. That's why I like having him on the show because
is over, y'all.
No, she'll come back. You wait.
Okay. They still dream about each other.
Oh my God.
They're pen pals.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna log off right now.
Wait, you got to give us your number 2. And not to. I was gonna say, go ahead, Lauren. Take us with that segue. Go into your number two.
Now I'm curious what you were about to go off on, but I will give you my number two instead. My number two is when Grogu uses the Force to shield Din and Bo-Katan from the fire. I loved that image of the three of them, and y'all talked about this on a previous show, but how you see Bo-Katan goes and uses her shield to protect Grogu, even though it's like there's no hope in that, but her priority is to protect Grogu, but actually Grogu is protecting her and Din. It was just like a beautiful image. I just felt like that was like the perfect way to end the season, is everybody's being okay because Grogu is looking out for them too.
Yeah. I'd imagine this one's probably crept into a number of our top 3 moments, but I could be wrong given that
it was just so beautifully shot. I mean, gosh, that's part of what it was, right? Just the behind Grogu scene, him holding it back. It was just so beautifully done, and the music and everything else was just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna bite my tongue because I have something to say about that one a little bit later. Jonesy, what's your number 2?
Are you ready for it?
Let me see. It's going to be another line from the Anzolans, I'm going to guess, but go ahead.
Actually, no. So it's Din Djarin's pledge to Bo-Katan. So he says, what means more to me is honor and loyalty and character. These are the reasons I serve you, Lady Kryze. Your song is not yet written. I will serve you until it is. It's just a beautiful line. And you talk about professing love, Albert. I mean, this is his actual profession of love, right? I mean, This is it. I mean, this was as close to it was going to be that he loves her, not O'Mara. And that she's
Thank you. Me and Jonesy are on the same team tonight.
No, O'Mara, she's not around.
She is so season. I know she's so season 1. I mean, gosh, come on.
It's the relationship unfortunately didn't work out for various reasons. He found someone that is probably a better fit. That's what happens sometimes.
That's right. But no,
why do I think both of you are speaking from personal experience here? But please go on, Jonesy. Go ahead.
I love the delivery of the line. It was much like Dante, what he was saying too when he pauses. It's just that thoughtfulness of being able to, say these are the things that are important to me. It's some object. It's not, this or that. It's not necessarily the creed. It's who you are and what you exemplify. And I think that's what. And when I look at like my number 1, it's a similar concept too of just being able to say, these are my values and I value your values as well. And so that type of message is just really strong. And I love that we get that message in Star Wars because we don't always get it that overtly. And to have it just said so plainly, I just really, really enjoy that.
Yeah. All right. Well, and I agree. And all joking aside, I think this is it's such an incredible moment. It's such a great moment, and it's something that Bo-Katan needed to freaking hear. Like her character really needed that, and especially given everything that had happened. And who better to deliver that message than
her boyfriend?
Mandalorian? Yeah, her boyfriend that may not work out because of obvious reasons. Okay, so I'll give you my number 2. My number 2 is the Shadow Council. That whole scene. And there's a lot here. And a lot of it is, I mean, there's nothing really particularly huge or impactful, right? With regard to the episodes itself, even in the context of the episode, there's not a whole lot here. But the world building that it does and the significance that I think it's going to play later in either Ahsoka or certainly when we get to the Dave Filoni meeting or movie, I think we're going to go back and look at some of the things that were kind of laid down in this particular episode because it was just so dense on the stuff they were throwing. They were throwing a lot of names, a lot of politics, a lot of the stuff that had been established, things that we could probably look forward to, things that were moving forward and plans. But I mean, like Brendel Hux, Captain Pelion, finally seeing him live action in canon, which was really cool. Although I think he was mentioned in the novelization on one of the movies or the book. It's not important. Or no, it was in the Empire's End.
It was in Rebels too.
Yeah. He was mentioned in Rebels.
Rebels. Okay, that's what it was. Sorry. I know he was mentioned in canon, but I could not remember where. But seeing him in live action, of course, was really cool. They mentioned Project Necromancer. Maybe, I don't know if they'll dive into that any more than they already have. I think we all kind of know what that is. But then just knowing that Thrawn is still out there, there's questions about whether or not, what is Thrawn really bringing? I love that Gideon was kind of stirring this pot, and you were kind of almost seeing these two independent factions within the remnants of the Empire starting to kind of rise up, and looking forward to seeing where that goes. The grand plan, maybe of Thrawn coming back. When he comes back, what does that mean for everybody? Like, is he going to usurp a lot of these folks? Are people going to fall in line? there's the Praetorian Guards, right? They mention that just kind of very nonchalantly. Oh, you need Praetorian Guards. And we're like, holy crap, there's Praetorian Guards. And then we get shown them, a few episodes a little bit later. So, and then all of this is really a kind of, for me, I think it was reaffirming that if there's one thing that the Empire hated or was fearful of, it was this resurgence of Mandalore. And they really wanted to put a stop on this before it got out of hand. So for me, I guess that was, again, just confirmation for some of the things that we had been speculating about as to, why the Empire was so invested in ensuring that the Mandalorians never came back or no one ever revisited that planet, because they are a threat to them, probably the biggest threat. So a great scene. I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that was laid in there. Okay, so let's move to honorable mentions time.
Nope. Alex, number 2.
Oh, Alex, sorry. Yeah, Alex, go ahead. You're number 2.
Oh, yeah, me. Yeah.
Wake up.
So I think the number 2 moment was when, I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but did Grogu sense the TIE interceptors before they attacked the ship?
I said that on the so I said that on the show, and I think we went back and forth.
No, I said it. And no, because I was watching. That's the first thing I had thought, because I remembered a long time ago when I think me and you first watched you showed me Star Wars once. That was one of the things you point out. You're like, "Oh, look, Obi-Wan's using the Force. He knows they're there before they're in there." And I was like, "What?" That's I really
so yeah, that was you're talking about. I remember that when we watched The New Hope, and he was like, "No, they're long range fighters." Yeah. I was in my head canon that was Obi-Wan sensing all of that through the Force.
Sensing before everybody else could or whatever.
Yeah.
So watching Star Wars with Albert was just
not
you couldn't even watch the movie. You just wanted to tell you every little tidbit that was happening.
You should try doing a podcast with
him. I am. He forgot me a little.
Yeah, you already forgot him. So, yep, sorry.
No, yeah. So I think that was my second one, because that reminded me a lot of that moment as well from A New Hope when Obi-Wan senses that. I thought that was really cool, because it was they both kind of look at him and he just kind of whimpers something, and then you hear the sound of the TIE interceptors come in. So that was pretty cool.
And this was on Kalevala?
I think it was. I think we had said when we were talking on the show there. I think Bo-Katan says this is the way, and then Din says it, or vice versa. And then there was a pause. Yeah, and then you hear Grogu say something, and I think those of you that don't know, no, I'm kidding. I can see it both ways, but I think some people thought, oh, that was him saying this is the way. But when I was reading that, there's a look on his face that he pauses, there's a look on his face, and then he says something. In my head, he was saying, intercept or something, or beware, I've got a bad feeling about it. Whatever you want to insert here, but that was the Force coming through and giving him a heads up or a warning. Although they couldn't understand what the heck he was saying, of course. Yeah. So, all right. That's a great moment because it comes back to me. Let's see. All right, so let's go to the number. I'm kidding. Let's honorable mention time. Lauren, how many honorable mentions do you have? And go ahead and just start rattling them off.
Are we doing top 3?
Yeah, but we're going to do the honorable mentions first.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was lost.
Yeah, we'll just edit that out.
Okay, so I have I think...
No, we're not. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I have I think 6 honorable mentions. So, okay. Appearance of the Mythosaur, that one almost made it into my top 3, but I ended up not having room. But that was a big one just because it just felt so larger than life. And it was cool that we got a little tease of it early on and then another little tease of it later. Also, Bad Baby. That's another great iconic line, as Jonesy already established. Din adopts Grogu. That one, it felt like he already... was adopted, but it was nice to have it confirmed and to hear them say it.
Consummated, if you will.
Yeah, in a way. And then IG-12, I just love how weird it is that Grogu was driving around the corpse of his dead friend. As strange as that is, it was just strange and creepy, and I loved it. Also, R5 neck shield. That was just a really cool scene. And lastly, Bo-Katan earning the respect of the armorer when the armorer says that Bo-Katan walks both worlds. And I mean, we saw moments all through the season of her earning that respect. So it was nice to see that recognized by the armorer.
That's a good one. I hadn't considered that, but yeah, it's a theme throughout this entire season. Much to the disappointment of a lot of folks who felt like, hey, this should have been about Din Djarin more than Bo-Katan, but I don't know, man. I enjoyed every moment of her journey through all of this and rising back up to the top. So I'm with you there. Jonesy, honorable mentions.
Yeah, a few of these already said, but worth noting again. So Grogu and IG-12, I mean, the yes and the no's, being able to communicate the childlike enthusiasm that he had and just repeatedly saying it, and he just couldn't help but just laugh the entire time.
Yes.
I mean, he's inspired Albert for the whole new level of obnoxiousness and somehow.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
All right, stop. All right, so the other part was the Shadow Council and the Thrawn name drop. Again, just like you had said, Albert, I really love that everything we got in this scene, it was just so dense with information, things that could be explored in other avenues, things that we will get, things we might never get, or things we might not get for years and years from now. So I really liked that. I love the Beskar troopers. I think to coin the term that you used a few weeks ago, Albert, I think I like the design of them. They were stormtroopers, but they were this next evolution of sorts. They just looked really cool. They were actually a threat. You know, they couldn't be defeated so easily. I like that a lot. Praetorian guards were just amazing. I loved just the way that they enter the scene with Paz Vizsla. They just seemed like this looming, really threatening presence. It was actually very much like Last Jedi, the way that they entered in. Almost this spirit-like, ghost-like type of figure, this haunting image, and the way that they dispatch him so easily, but they just captured it so perfectly.
Yeah.
This was mentioned earlier. The Mando's taking flight. Again, just everybody there, and when Bo-Katan pulls out the Darksaber and leads the charge, absolutely love it. You get a little bit of chills every single time. Grogu saving the day, like Lauren had said earlier, with keeping the flames back. The whole imagery was just absolutely beautiful. The Mythosaur as well, just being able to see that on the screen. And then the one that hasn't been mentioned yet, and maybe, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I'm actually really glad that the Darksaber was destroyed.
No, and you're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy about this because, and again, I think it puts more emphasis on the Mythosaur later on, and we dispose with the idea that we have to have an object in order to lead the people. It served its purpose, so I'm glad that now there will have to be another evolution of the Mandalorian people to rally behind it, whether it's the lighting of the forge or whatever it might be, which was another really powerful moment for Mandalore or whatever, that type of thing. But I'm glad that the Darksaber was destroyed. I like how it was done and that it was actually kind of crushed and destroyed. And again, it could probably be rekindled if you want. It could be rebuilt, but for this moment in time, I'm glad that it's kind of gone. But it was just really cool that we disposed of that to say you don't need that to lead, and that we reinforce that at the very end of the show.
Yeah, but it's cooler if you do. No, those are great moments, except for the last one. Okay, so I'll give you my honorable mentions. So the first one is Zeb. It's Zeb. I mean, live action Zeb. I don't know what else it is to say. I mean, it's cool. I mean, there wasn't a huge moment. It was just him spouting off a few lines in a bar, but great time. Your Song Is Not Yet Written. So that whole scene we've already talked about made it in there for me. I have Keller and Beck in here, and I was struggling whether or not that would be in my top three, but just the reintroduction of just finding out, I guess, finally who saved Grogu during Order 66. Was never expecting it to be Keller and Beck. Glad that it was like the moment that we needed, especially at that time. It was all that whole scene was just brilliant. So really enjoyed that. I had Paz's Last Stand in here, and that was another one that I felt like was going to get in my top three, but didn't make it. But to have him go out, especially after we found out that he had a son, right? And now the idea that his son is going to be living without his father, what is that going to do? Or we're going to see him. What was his name? Ragnar. Yeah. Whether or not we'll see Ragnar in future seasons or not. But then him just going out the way he did. We talked about, characters deserving a warrior's death. Certainly he had a warrior's death. He had a Mandalorian's death, I think, given the amount of people he took out before he was finally succumbed to the Praetorian guards and their very precise attacks in between the plates of armor there. Let's see. I also had Mandu Grogu versus the Praetorian guards. So seeing daddy and son finally fighting together and compromising each other, not compromise, but complementing each other in the way they fight.
And then adding Muhammad at the end.
And then, well, I have that a little bit later. No, because they have a fight by themselves. That's just them and the Praetorian guards. And then later on, it's all three against the Moff Gideon.
Right. The family, right?
Yeah, the family one.
Yeah.
This is the way. This is the line that he says to Bo-Katan. So Dante's earlier, I think it was number 3. Or was it number 2? 2? So, and I was just quickly as a funny, like there's in Spanish, we have something very similar. It's orale. You can say orale to anything. If you want to be mad, you want to be happy, you agree, you disagree, you can use it in all kinds of ways. So Alex is laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. Also, I have adopt a pet in there as in my honorable mentions. This is Grogu's finally getting a father. Kuil's influence. Look at Malloran.
Adopt
She's
a
shocked.
pet.
Well, they called it a pet the entire thing, and he finally adopted it, so it's adopt a pet. Kuil's influence during this scene when Mando finally figures out a way to talk to the Ugnaughts to get through to them. I love that because it's a callback to that character that I think we all love. The Living Waters and the Mythosaur, again, not hugely significant. Was hoping that we would see the Mythosaur of the season. We didn't, but I think they're saving that for Heir to the Empire or whatever we do later on. So I think it will come back in. Okay, 2 more. The Calavella dogfight. I'm just rattling off everything. No, I only got 11. So the Calavella dogfight, I think we talked about this in the episode, but just the way it was shot, the editing, it was just a great little space battle before they had to get out of there because of the number of TIE Fighter interceptors that were coming. And then the last one that I added in just while we were going through this was Grogu and Mando's introduction in the very opening scenes, like first episode, when they come in, they shoot they're out in Florida or wherever it is, they shoot the gator, and it blows up and they land. It's just something about Grogu's face when he finally pops up out of the bubble. He's like smiling. I don't know. It gets me every time. It's the cutest thing in the world. So I had that in my honorable mention.
So you have that, but you don't have Bad Baby No Squeezy in your list?
No. I think that's dumb.
You
okay.
Un-Mandalorian.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I like the line. I just don't know that it's not my top 3. I wouldn't put it maybe an honorable
then you
mention.
are lost.
That's probably fair in a lot of different ways. Okay, so now that I've said everything about every episode, let's see. Alex, give us your honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. The Kowakian monkey lizards was hanging out in the tree. I love seeing those things. Little salacious be crumb guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those. I don't know. This thing is just a great character design with the big ears and the little smile, and they kind of act like little cats just hanging out. Pirate King Gorian. This pirate.
AKA Pizza the Hut.
Yeah. Yeah, with the little green mossy guy. I love him. He was great. Great character design there as well. I also really like the love story between that little Mon Calamari and the Quarian at the beginning.
Oh, God, that was so creepy.
Star-Crust lovers.
Romeo
and
Juliet. The tentacles just got... Ugh.
Yeah. And then like her teeth, their teeth are like hanging out, and it looks really weird and gross. But I dug it. I thought it was cool. Let's see. All the space battles were really great in this season, especially the end one. Let's see. What else do I got here? Sorry, I wrote my notes down like an old man, so I got to actually go through the pieces of paper. The gauntlet scene with the gauntlet chasing down that sort of pterodactyl into the sun, that sort of Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yes.
Shot. That was really great.
Yep. Similar shot in The Force Awakens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like the covert, the whole episode was great, but I especially like the part where they have like the rehabilitation program for the scientists. So it reminded me a lot of like Operation Paperclip from 1945 that we took German scientists after World War II and brought them back to America. I thought that was kind of a neat little history
throwback
tidbit. Yeah. Those are my honorable mentions. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, way to action real history there and make us all look stupid. So appreciate that. Let's see. Dante, you're up.
Sure. So the one that got knocked down from my top 3 to my number 4, I guess, would be the dogfight with Bo-Katan, Mando, and the Interceptors. They worked together really well in that, where they bounce off each other. They trusted each other. Like Bo-Katan says, go right, and she just, okay, immediately go right. Or maybe it was the other way around. Anyway, so just that real quick, the trust. Bad Baby, of course. I've used that already with my kids. So
have you no squeeze? Did they say no squeezy?
Yeah, Bad Baby. No, I say it, not them. They don't know.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Bo-Katan sitting on her throne. This is not a moment, but it's kind of a moment. The Buddy Cop episode as a whole. To me, like, it kind of, I loved it, but it didn't fit. But then I watched Visions, and like, okay, this feels like an episode of Visions, but it's canon.
Right.
Like, okay, we're gonna run with something that's totally not like any Japanese inspired. It's just a buddy cop US buddy cop episode, through and through. But that's kind of why I kind of realized why I liked it so much. It's kind of a sidestep. That's why I kind of view it as a moment too.
Yeah.
When Din gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber, that whole sequence I thought was great. It worked for me. Mecha Grogu saying yes, yes, all that stuff. DJ Master Keller and Beck, that was great. And Axe Woves yelling for Mandalore. To me, that's like the best acted part of the whole series or the season. Like you could see his love for what he just did, for what they've done, and for his hope for the future in that one, like for Mandalore, the way he sang it was just perfect.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree too. Like there's a lot of conviction in the way he says it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he comes, like what his role will be going forward too, since he was a leader at one point and now he's not. And, he's certainly earned the trust of a lot of people, Lauren included. So, we'll see. Maybe that there's something there for him down the road. Okay. Well, I think that's the honorable mentions. Is that right? Everybody get theirs in? All right, Jonesy, you get to take the first one. We'll give us your number one.
Yeah, number one is Paz Vizsla's speech in the cave. So when Din Djarin goes to ask for help to liberate Navarro, he starts off and it's not going well. At first he's saying, we've been on the opposite sides. We've had so many conflicts. But then he comes back and says, well, why do we do this? Why do we repeatedly ask for it? And it's because we're Mandalorians. And the way that everybody just kind of perks up and looks, and they're reminded of what it means to be a Mandalorian, but also just all of the history and how, Paz's character just had this final moment of clarity, I think, too. It had been building up. He'd had a lot of uncertainty and a lot of distrust. And what do you make of Bo-Katan and the whole, apostate type of scenarios that keep coming up. But I just love it all came together for him. It's like, this is just what we do. We do this time and time again because that's what our kind is built on. And it's just what makes us special and makes us unique. And he had finally remembered that place and wanted to dive all in because it felt right. And again, his continued deference over to Din Djarin of, hey, can I trust Bo-Katan? And that relationship, that kind of bond that created, that started to, become a more of a bond or more of a connection. We finally saw it in this moment of finally kind of making a true statement about what it means to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I love this scene altogether. It's just a great scene.
I think there's been some fair criticism around that scene about how, and I think, again, we discussed this, but fair criticism around some of this did feel accelerated. And what I mean by that is Paz coming around to Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, the armor coming around as quickly as she did. And that aside, for me, I think it wasn't so much that for Paz, it became easier for me because I think the part of that, I don't know that you mentioned, if you did, I apologize, but him talking about his son, right? That he had saved his son. I think that was really that redefining moment for him and really what got him on board with trusting his faith in Mando. Like it changed the dynamic of the relationship from that point on. All of this, I think, also plays, if I could just add to it, I think it plays heavier now, knowing that he's the one that stood up and said, no, we need to do this, and got behind Din Djarin. And at the end of the day, he ends up losing his life for this cause, the ultimate cause, which, I guess as a Mandalorian is probably expected. But it's, I think it certainly adds some emotional weight to that scene as well.
Well, and I think it's just him backing it up at the end of the day, right? And
yes.
The reason why it was, and I went back and actually when I was watching that scene of, we had debated this on the show, like why did he stay back? He could have retreated. Like he needed to buy them more time in order to make sure that he held back the force so they could regroup and figure out what was next. And so it was really important for that to happen. And they would have just been hunted down the tunnels, whether or not that was. But anyway, I like that it got there and that he was all in. And you're right. And it was Bo-Katan doing similar things too. She went after Ragnar when no one else would, right? They would have just given up, including himself, and that shame that we got from it and all of that. So it just, everything finally came together for him. I just really love that he had that moment of clarity and that moment of focus of saying, this is who we are. Let's back it up and let's do it. No more pretending and no more putting our head in the sand. We're Mandalorians, so let's show everyone what we're made of. Yep.
Yeah, great moment. So my number one is the family that kills together stays together. And that is the very end of chapter 24 when they all three of them do fight.
Husband, wife, child.
Yeah, husband and wife, child. Right. It's when you watch the choreography.
And by wife, you mean Bo-Katan, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So you
until
are on
until
Team Bo-Katan.
Omera comes in. Hello, season 5. But
Homewrecker
Okay.
Omera.
I'm just,
yeah,
I'm just
Homewrecker,
checking.
Homewrecker. Leave her alone. Gosh, she's out on an island by herself right now. So where was I with that before?
I'm sorry. I had to say something.
I know.
Oh, well
I
done,
know.
Lauren. I'm very proud of you, actually.
Anyways, I think so finally seeing them kind of all fight Gideon, because Gideon's pretty much had the upper hand. This is right after the Darksaber gets crushed when they finally come in. Or they finish up their battle, they being Din and Grogu. But we got to see all three of them do certain things. They were all playing with each other, or playing off of each other. They were like doing a lot of knee slides, which is really cool. I don't know why that was a thing. But Grogu was even he had a hand in it too, with him kind of, making this, what was it, the spear fly off to the side a couple times that Gideon couldn't use it. But I just love the dynamic of all three of them working together. We had not seen that. We'd seen it already, I guess, with Din and Grogu. We've seen it with Bo-Katan and Din, but we've never seen all three of them work. In fact, we even saw, I guess, to some extent, as you could argue, Bo and Grogu earlier on. But just seeing all three of those guys work together, and then obviously culminating with the whole fire flame thing and Grogu saving everybody. I think, Jonesy, you called it the Incredibles moment, and I would agree that's very similar to what we got there. So that whole thing, the more I watched it, the more I enjoy the choreography and just the how it was edited and how it kind of all flows. It's just really kind of brilliant in my opinion. So that's my number 1. Alex, what about you? What's your number 1?
Well, obviously, just definitely when Ahmed Best just appeared. That was great as the Sabered Hand. What's in Kelleron Beck?
Kelleron Beck, yep.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite moment of the whole series altogether. I mean, I don't know. I was just waiting for him because I know he always got like a bad rap for no reason at all. But yeah, that was just great. And then his line, and he's like, everything's gonna be all right, kid. But that was like very like Han Solo-ish, even though he was a Jedi. It sounded very like he wasn't like some stuffy old Jedi. He was like very like heroic in that moment. So yeah, I just thought that was a great moment. That was my favorite moment of probably this whole series so far, even though it didn't have anything to do with necessarily the Mandalorian directly. It's not about him or anything, or Dan, I mean. But yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense. Pulling back the curtain, I think we saw episode 1 a billion times, and I know that had a pretty big impact on you, that whole sequel or the prequel trilogy, I would say. Maybe not.
Yeah.
All of those.
Yeah, no, I think sleeping in your little car overnight had a bigger impact on me than anything else. That was just horrible.
What did we sleep in the car for? Was that to go to one of the movies?
That was just to buy tickets.
To buy tickets.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, we pulled up to, I think they went on sale like I don't know what it was that morning, and I made him go with me, and we slept in the car, and I had set an alarm.
Because a storm came in. Remember, a storm came in, and everybody had their tents out, and they were just getting blown away, and we were just kind of like sitting in there, and we didn't invite anybody into the car.
Nope.
Like, no.
Every man for woman for yourself.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, lose your feet. You're gonna lose your seat. Yeah. So.
He's got all kinds of tales. That's why it's just dangerous for him to be on the show, honestly. Okay, Dante, let's go to your number 1.
So they win the day. Din and Grogu get the little house on Navarro. Didn't it feel like they just fit there?
Yeah.
And who would fit better, Bo-Katan or Omera? Omera. There's no way Bo-Katan would stay there.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. That's a great.
Look like they fit there.
Yeah,
that is not.
But they're not going to stay there anyway. It's just between adventures with Bo-Katan.
But they fit there. They fit. Anyway, not my number 1.
Is that your number 1? The little scene there at the end?
No, not at all. My number 1. I just had to say.
Nice. Okay.
Is Bo-Katan beating up Admiral Leech? So.
Oh yeah.
The mecha guy, the mecha whatever, and on
Admiral Leech.
We talked about before. Because Din uses a Darksaber before, and he just can't use it. I love how they did it. It makes it look heavy. They did it really well. But when she gets it, like you can see, that's her weapon. Like she owns that weapon. She knows how to move with it. She knows how to use it. She was so fluid. Like all of her fight scenes for Bo-Katan were great. But I thought that one was kind of just took the cake of the way she did it, the way it kind of emphasized how, she's meant to lead. That's her job, and she's going to be good at it. So that whole sequence was great.
Yep. Good job. Good job on that one. Okay, Lauren, you get to close us out, and it better not be anything about marriage or these two getting together.
It's not. It's
Okay, good.
not. Come
Good.
on, you know me better than that.
I
My
know.
number one moment was Keller and Beck saves Grogu. So me
Oh,
and Alex
shocker.
have the same number one. Yes, I loved. So I mean, I've talked multiple times about how Jar Jar was very important to me growing up. Jar Jar is the reason I'm a Star Wars fan. So it was a big deal for me that Keller and Beck had that moment of saving Grogu, and Ahmed Best got I don't know, I felt like he got some recognition that he deserved. It felt like making a very clear statement about his contribution to Star Wars in a very permanent way. So I loved it that this moment not only was an important moment for the story, it was an important moment for the Star Wars franchise. So, and when I watch that scene, I mean, that is a scene I've watched. I can't even tell you how many times. It just makes me feel like so much joy in my heart. Like, and that's why we all love Star Wars, is that feeling of joy that it gives us. And different parts of Star Wars will give us joy for over different things. And like, that's just one of the main ones for me. So nothing will top that.
Well, and you guys aren't alone. I mean, you're certainly not on an island. It was fire the minute it came out, and it was really cool to see. I mean, the prequel fans are out there, don't get me wrong, and we see them more than we have ever probably in the last, 15, 20 years because they're older and that sort of thing. But they were out in full force within minutes of this airing. And then it was just like, again, fire for the next 24, 48 hours, even that full week. This is all anybody was talking about was Ahmed Best coming back. And, Jonesy and I talked about the word that was getting tossed around was, redemption for him. And that would imply that he did something wrong, which he didn't do. So again, that's not the right word to use, but like you said, it was just this kind of like an affirmation of, acknowledgement that he had, for his character and his work, and seeing him being recognized in a different way for all of that stuff. Plus, I mean, for those of you that followed, what was the game show, the Temple Order thing? What was the name of the show? Anybody remember?
Jedi Temple Challenge?
That's
Jedi
it.
Temple, something.
Temple of Doom? Jedi Temple of Doom. That's it.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah, no, Jedi Temple Challenge. Seeing that as kind of like being able to, or having them go back and pull that out and make that canon the way they did was really cool. And of course, I think we talked about this in the show about how Filoni and Favreau said it just kind of made sense. Like it was a no-brainer for them that was already out there. Sure, why not? Let's use it. And it just gave Best a really good way to be reintroduced to Star Wars in a more positive light. Anybody, Jonesy, want to comment any more on that?
No, it was great to see him in there. I think it worked. And I love the idea of bringing in the kids' YouTube channel into it and the characters from there. That again, the whole universe is connected in some kind of way, and through the different contents and the different characters. I mean, I know Lauren feels this way too. The characters in the books and the video games and the comic books don't always get a lot of love. So having a character make the jump from another smaller medium into the live action stage of Disney Plus or a movie it feels good to get that type of notoriety, and you have a character that's out there, and then people can go look at that if they want to in a different way and explore other content. So I think it's great. And we're 2 days removed, actually. So May 19th, 1999 is when Phantom Menace premiered. So we're just 2 days removed from 24 years ago. Phantom Menace came out.
Well, we planned this terribly. We could have done it in 2 days. So they will re-record this whole episode. How about that?
Well, that was 2 days ago. May 19th. Yeah.
Oh, May 19th.
Yeah, we already missed it. That's how
we still missed it either way. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
it
really
didn't work out.
botched this one. Yeah. We don't have a runway here. We'll get it next year. Okay. Well, all right. Well, this was fun. This was a good reflection on Mandalorian season 3. And I'm sorry it took so long to come back and do this. We had other stuff that we had lined up and the timing just wasn't working. But thankfully we got a chance to go back and discuss this. And we'll do the same thing, of course, when we get to Ahsoka, and certainly when we get to Mandalorian season 4. Jonesy, do you want to give any shout outs, any final messages before we get out of here?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly thanks to Dante and Alex for coming on the show today. It means a lot to us. And for all of our Patreon members out there as well, if you are listening to this, we do post the feed out there for you to tune in live. So you can watch the video if you're now part of the tribe, or this is the way in up, oddly enough. So go check that over at cantinacast.com/Patreon. Go in the main feed. You'll see the links there. We'll post them at least the same day, if not the day before, so you have it. But anyways, again, special thanks to everyone for doing all of this, and we will see you again on Tuesday.
Yeah, reminder, Tuesday we're going to be doing our final Visions coverage. So the last 3 episodes of Star Wars Visions, Season Volume 2. And then Thursday, Lauren and I have been concocting something here for, I guess, 3 shows. We're going to be doing a show on Thursday, then we got the Patreon show on Sunday, and then the following Thursday as well, as Jonesy's out in Australia or something like that. We'll be, we're going to get into the books a little bit, but in a fun way. It'll be a lot of fun.
It's always a fun way.
It is always
as opposed to what? Like normally it's not so fun.
A boring way.
Some
boring
boring books. No, I don't mean it that way. I just meant it'll be different than the what we've done, Jonesy and I have done, which is like ad nauseum, line by line kind of thing.
Well, now I feel slighted. Jeez.
Well, that's just.
I'm just going to insult everybody before we go.
Yeah. Who have I not insulted here tonight? So Dante,
okay.
Yeah, Dante. But he's been with us too long. You can't insult him.
Yeah. But no, we're going to get into some short stories. So we'll leave it at that. And so again, thanks everybody for joining us. Dante and Alex, thanks for being here. We'll see you guys here in just a few days for the Star Wars Visions Volume 2 coverage.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.